All right, guys, welcome. It is Tuesday, September the 9th. It is 12:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are back again to take a look at the market, take a look at Bitcoin, and then follow through with the alts and give ourselves an idea of what's going on for the next little while. Again, we haven't seen much change in the past couple of videos. We are kind of sticking in the same idea. Haven't seen much of a move happen from the range that we're in, but we'll go over what we have moved, and we'll look at any local pattern ideas that we might be seeing that'll give us some indication of our next level on our higher time frames. If you're here, thanks for joining us, and I hope everybody's had a great trading experience since the last time we all spoke. So dominance has continued its downtrend. Obviously, after we got our cross here, started working our way down, we've been pretty consistent with that. Out of this rising wedge pattern, we've dropped and continued to fall. And we have most definitely broken this range for now. So we're really looking to see dominance break up and push back into here if Bitcoin is going to keep stealing the show. If this keeps losing levels, we're going to see us push towards alt season more and more as we go. Again, we're still in a range. We haven't made a move since our last talk. I think probably the biggest moves we've seen. Wild had a pretty good move, or the other one. Yeah, Wild had a pretty cool move over the past couple of days here. Obviously, bottoming out idea. It's in that nice consolidating triangle pattern, and then we finally break and make a move here. But other than that, I don't think anything's actually. Also, we had a setup on virtual that's started to make a bit of a move, but just 30% from our in idea so far. We're still looking for it to run this range and break out of this pattern. It's the same thing we've been talking about. We just haven't made it there yet. We haven't, quite done it yet. Obviously, we're looking at a higher time frame, so we need to see a little more time span out for these bigger moves to play out. Now, locally with Bitcoin, the last time we were looking at this wedge, we did see a double bottom here and made a small break. And the idea was we were going to see a push up as some type of a bearish retest on these levels. But right now we've kind of stopped and we've started to consolidate. So the new range idea obviously would be this pattern. I mean, typically, if it's going to continue down, you'd be looking at some type of a continuation pattern. But if we do break up, we're going to run up and we're going to try to push these ranges and see if we can get back into them again. We're going to try to break up somewhere into here. All right, so that's the local idea. Now, if you are in the Discord, we had the pattern this morning here and look pretty topish. So I shared this, just saying, hey, we need to break this level right now, or back down we go. And we most definitely did not break this level. And we went, not only did we go down, but we went down fast today on Bitcoin. But again, this can be good for our alts because that's kind of what we were talking about as far as what we want to see for alts. We really want to see Bitcoin run sideways and consolidate. And while that's happening, you're going to see alts take over if dominance gets down into those levels that we want to see it at. Ethereum, we were looking at in some type of a triangle. Overall pattern idea is a bigger trend idea. Again, sideways action though. ranging in this area until we make a break from here. And then most of these alts are kind of sticking this true to the same thing right now. We have these bigger ideas that we've been talking about, but we're not quite there yet to make them happen, right? So what we're looking at is these levels here, and we want to see this break to the upside. And then we want to see this trend finish. It's kind of like a reverse curve inside of the curve. We want to see a bottom out and finish, and then push out of the top side. You can see there's a range in here going this way. And so you're looking for something to happen as far as support goes in an area down here. And then you want to see a break to an area up here for a higher high. And then we want to see our higher low and a higher high. And this long drawn out pattern will eventually break and make a push. And because this is crypto, it'll, peak out and roll back over. Yeah, same thing. We haven't really pushed out of our range that we spoke about last time. Now, obviously, if you're paying attention and you're in your smaller time frames, there's a lot of trading to be happening here. If you can see these consistent levels get hit, 1, 2, 3, fourth touch, safe. Well, third touch is a safe bet here. People just take profits. Fourth touch didn't even happen. You still get the bounce all the way through here once the pattern starts. So there are trades to be making on the smaller time frames. When you're zooming in, you're seeing the same ideas. Okay, so this is the 12-minute. And you get this pattern with this curvish looking thing at the top of it, and you get a run. So anything that we're looking at right now on the daily time frame, it kind of looks like that. We're going to see a much more long drawn out run. So again, we haven't seen any type of a push out of our area yet. So we're still ranging in this area. Even Soluna has kind of just been holding itself in place and working its way up into this rising pattern here. So I think what we really want to see next is we want to see this range make a choice. what would be really nice for alts is if this range drags out for quite some time. Maybe this turns into this, and Bitcoin turns into a larger consolidating pattern here, and that's going to give alts a big chance to go. But again, that's going to be based on Bitcoin dominance and whether or not we can keep this downward momentum going. Because now we have to consider that we could be in some type of a falling pattern. And we could be looking to see maybe some type of a bounce and rise up out of here before we get that significant move down. Because again, this would be a level that's been hit quite a few times on this chart. So we really want to see a bearish retest. I mean, we don't have to see it, but if we do, it'd be very possible to see a bearish retest on this. Kind of look at this one here. We broke down below, but then we run up and really try to hit it again. And then that was the alt start. This didn't officially start alt season. This did. So again, we're right there in the same situation. And so what we're looking for is this level to be completely rejected. And we want to see that big pullback on dominance. Okay, so that would be alt season. Official. And now we're looking at something like this. All right, so this is your bearish idea. On this bigger, larger trend. And again, we really could see this push up into these levels to test this, either this line quickly or to actually come up and try to test this all-time high again. So right now you're going to see the most volume come in down here, up here, or once we break one of these lines and go to retest on either side. Again, upward direction, you're looking at this range. And downward direction, you're first going to test somewhere down here where this last test came in. And then obviously if that breaks, you're going to push down to another level. And ultimately, the idea would be you'd come down and find yourself making a third touch on this wedge idea if it is going to push down that far. Could be seeing a bit of a bounce soon. But again, I mean, ultimately, our longer target here would still be to see these lower levels here. Somewhere within a, say $500 range in here. But as long as Bitcoin does nothing, these things really have a chance to take some kind of a run here. Trump. Yeah, so I mean we're definitely still in this same range. So by this point, if you've been watching, you should probably see, um, well, you should see these patterns by now. Something like this, you would really be looking, even if we do get another drawback here, you're really at this point looking to see these hold and start to do some type of a reversal. I mean, you don't, if you see these levels break any lower, Birdier didn't like that, apparently. All right, now Doge, it's been holding up. I mean, our idea back here was that we were going to keep following this momentum change. So we really want to see this start to push here. Ideally, we want to see us to keep the higher high and the higher low and make another higher high. We're looking for this to consolidate into a bullish pattern, and we're looking to see a break into the upward direction. And it's going to go up and over and up and over and up and over. And somewhere along here, ideally, you'll see some type of structure start to form. I'm not sure that Doge this time around is going to, I mean, I don't know what, things could do absolutely crazy during this alt season, but it's very possible for some of these things that have been around for a while now that they really could just kind of slow and grow up until a certain point. But I think it's a lot of these newer ones that we're looking at with a different style of chart than this. This is much different looking. A lot of the coins that we're looking at look like this right now. They're down here, and they're consolidating down in this area, and this doesn't exist. So it's more so the ones that you see that are looking like this that could give you the hyperbolic runs. And ones like this are still going to work on an uptrend to push to higher highs. And again, a lot of things are looking like this currently. So we're definitely interested in anything that looks like this. On these larger time frames, we're in that accumulation phase. And when we do see that the markup phase happen, it happens quick. And again, some of these older ones, you might not see all-time highs happen on them. They really might not happen. But what you will see is quick runs to these higher levels for nice runs. Or they, maybe you do. Hopefully by the end of this week, we will actually have made some type of a move with alts. Because if Bitcoin's just going to range, we might finally see alts make their move. Or at least make another level up. Essentially what we want to see is our bullish ideas start to play out more and more. So if we are going to be changing to a bullish idea for altcoins, stuff like this is going to start to play out very well. As opposed to trying, if you were trying to catch falling wedges in a downtrend, for instance, this is why you use a stop loss, because here's a nice pattern and the market's not bullish. Bitcoin's doing a lot. This thing just didn't have the power to do it at that time. What it did do was it dragged out, consolidated much longer. And now as the market turns, if we start to see the momentum change in dominance and we start to see altcoins outperforming Bitcoin, there will be a select period of time where these patterns start to play out. And you could see upper levels here happen. Right, so you could get yourself up to a higher high here and then pull back. Obviously, once you get up to here, if that happens, you want to take the next thing that happens into account. You might have to move this line and change it. It might be a curve as opposed to a wedge. But for now, while the chart looks the way it looks and we have this data, this is how we're going to assess the position. And this is kind of how we're going to take our ideas for what we could see when we get the alt season. Like if this runs and it runs fast and we go up to here, I'm going to probably take profits, a majority of profits. I'll also take some if we hit to here, just so that there are some profits taken. looking for a retest, or looking for this to, because what can happen sometimes is this pattern will drag out a little longer after it's formed, and it will start to make that curve. Overall, what it's doing is it's making that curve that's ultimately going to reverse your position, right? So when you're detecting a reversal idea, it's going to trade and bounce, and people are going to take profits, and at some point momentum's going to change, and people are going to wait a lot longer to take profits. Thus, we get our higher highs. So this is what we're looking for right now, is that big reversal in altcoins' favor. But again, we're taking Bitcoin level by level, and we're taking Bitcoin dominance level by level. I think everything's running well. All right. All right, guys, I will be back in just a moment. I'm going to fill up the coffee. All right, we are back. We're just kind of hanging out here, seeing if anybody wants to pop in and say hi today and go over a chart or anything. Basically, I think we've looked at the main things again today, and those are the things we're going to want to keep an eye on for the next couple of weeks. Well, those are always the first. I mean, anytime I come to the chart, the first thing I check is dominance and Bitcoin before I make any decisions on whether I'm going to trade alts or how aggressively I'm going to trade them or what positions I might be considering, whether it's long or short. That's all going to be based off of dominance in Bitcoin, and then it's going to be based off of my overall time structure, like a bigger time frame structure idea, and then I'll look into a smaller time frame structure for shorter positions, and I'll gauge my probability of those trades based on the bigger time frames. It's a little early to say it, but we could also even be looking at something like a range here. And again, this ranging is going to be good for alts because, typically everything will pull back together. But when you see these ups happen for Bitcoin, Bitcoin's going to move a little and alts are going to move a lot. And then Bitcoin's going to do the little pullback, and altcoins are going to kind of cool down while Bitcoin is pulling back. And then when Bitcoin bounces again, everything will run together in this range, alts being on top. And, we could still be a little ways away from it. It doesn't have to happen this week. It doesn't have to happen this month. When it does happen, it's going to be fast. And I think it's getting to the point where it's pretty clear that there are obvious signs that we could be looking at that as a possibility. ICP is another great example. Large patterns pinching into consolidation over a large period of time. We're consolidating down here. The price action is pinching. It's getting very slow, very boring. And now again, only time can tell if this plays or this plays. But one of these two scenarios is going to play out, and this is looking like a great buy area. Now, if you get dipped into this for a while, is that going to look painful on your portfolio? Absolutely. It's just like anybody that might have, bought into something in this area here. Say they bought this and waited. Well, at some point their position was down 65, 70%. And if they panic sold it, they got nothing. And if they waited for that uprise, there was as high of 160% even on this bounce. So when we get this bounce, if you're getting in these areas, you're much safer than, waiting to get up to here and then considering an entry up here. What you like to see is a confident breakthrough here and then a pullback to a retest of a level. Okay, because once you get that retest and it gets confirmed, you're going to see things move quickly. But again, like we talked about last time, this is 225%. This whole span, which is even bigger, is only 91%. And then this massive span from here to here is only 117%. So smart money is making smaller entries, unnoticeable smaller entries over time down in these phases, and they're scaling out as these levels are pushed, and they're overlapping their profits into the next pullback, and they're continuing to do the same thing on these phases of the market where they're boring and drawn out. Everybody wants to load up here. Did XRP hit $3 again today? It did hit $3 again today, just briefly. But we were looking at in the last, we were looking at this idea of divergence. We were pushing really hard. So far, we've pulled back, but again, we're testing these levels on this higher time frame here. So obviously, we were resisting, tried to catch some support, resisted again. So now we're testing this range. We're testing these levels to see if we're going to hold support. But again, it's the same thing, Look, it's altcoins are all doing this right now, and things like Bitcoin, XRP, and a few other of the bigger coins, they're giving us double top with bearish divergence on the high time frames right now. All right, I think we'll call it there today. We'll pop on again tomorrow. If you pop by, thank you so much for stopping in, and join the Discord if you would like to ask about any other charts or any other questions, or if you want to just chat one-on-one and go over some ideas and stuff. I'm on always. I, unfortunately, for good or for bad, live at my computer, so I'll be there. And then, yeah, tomorrow I think I'll try to come on a little later in the day, because usually I think I'm a couple hours later than this. And yeah, I'm just trying to find a good time that works for everybody. So, all right, thanks for your time, guys, and we will see you tomorrow.